Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today is Spider-Man release day, which means there are going to be a lot of moving pieces on the market. And as usual, when a new set comes out, I like to take a look at prices, kind of identify if there's anything worth grabbing on day one, look at where trends might go, and the usual. So if you guys do enjoy these videos and want to support the channel, please feel free to like and subscribe, and then leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about the set as a whole. I have definitely made my thoughts very open on this product. I think it's definitely an underwhelming product as a whole. I would argue that maybe some people have been a little too harsh on it online because there is obviously still some things to like about it. But I think from a set construction perspective, it was fairly lazily done, coasting on the fact that it's an IP that they know people will go after. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I think it's kind of funny, but the collector booster boxes have gone way down. And now I did not purchase any, so this is not something I'm vested in. However, these were selling at one point as high as $800, $900, and now they're down to $540. They're pretty close back down towards MSRP. So if people who were in it as scalpers bought them, it's nice to see them take a little bit of a loss. And hopefully that'll roll over with with the Avatar stuff too. If a set is hyped and it goes from, $450 to $550, it's like, okay, this is pretty expensive, but I can at least be like, okay, whatever, like, just demand. The artificial hype, I think, or scarcity on these particular products was just way too much, in my opinion. And unfortunately, we're still seeing a lot of that on the gift bundle, or at $185. It's supposed to be a $100 product. It does have a collector booster in it, but it's also got the packaging, the collectability of it. That one, I don't really know where it's going to end up. It's kind of hard to tell. But just kind of looking at the top of the set quickly before we talk about the more, kind of important meat and potatoes of the set, if you will. All the different spectacular Spider-Mans, these are all very similar to the Chocobos with in terms of like pull rates and how frequently they show up. They're textured. There are some different ones. They're all hovering around, we'll call it between $750 and $1,200, give or take. I do think we're going to see a lot of these continue to trickle down a bit, while then we might see some trickle back up over time. It's kind of hard to say right now because it's just a new product and we don't really have any historical, Spider-Man data to base this on. However, what is going crazy is the Soul Stone, and this is up to about $1,060 with the most recent sale being around $1,100. This card, as you know, is very, very good. It's even the regular mythic version of it in the set is strong. It's it's a 2-drop mana rock for black that can also end up being a revival card, and it's just based on an Infinity Stone. I don't know what the market's going to look like for these going forward, but it's very high, and if you pull this, obviously, that's going to be nice for you. But part of the reason it's so expensive is because it's only in one slot in the collector booster, and it's competing with all the other mythics in that same slot, so the likelihood of seeing one of these in general is very, very low, and of course, we were seeing that data being reflected in the pricing. So just something to consider if you're looking at the Soul Stone. Regular version of the Soul Stone, though, has been trending downwards, which is nice, as we usually expect to see. So it was as high as like $150 at one point, and now is down to about $56 at the cheapest. I think we'll continue to see this trend down a little bit. I think this is a good card. I hope I get one, but I'm also not sure that it's worth $56 right now. Although, depending on how the future of the set shapes out and everything, if people continue to want these things, and then we have more stones coming out in future Marvel products, maybe the Soul Stone is obviously, something to consider for you. But I think at 56, you could probably wait a little bit and it'll drop lower. But again, I'm not a financial expert. I could very well be wrong on that, and it could end up double tomorrow. I don't think it will, but it could. So just, food for thought. And then the borderless versions of the comic book covers, so like the Eddie Brock Lethal Protector Venom, for example, really, really cool. This is a pretty highly demanded card. I thought it would fall a little bit more, but it hasn't. It's about 210. It was like 500 during pre-release, so it's still a drop, but I thought it might fall below 200. I guess there's still a possibility it will, but it looks like it is kind of holding strong there. So I'm not sure what to make of it in that regard. Bundles around 66. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the value's there. And then play booster box around 150. Still kind of steep for what you're getting, I think, but, might be a decent pickup. We're going to be doing a draft. My friends and I will be doing a draft this weekend. I'm looking forward to that and maybe get a sense of how the set actually plays from a draft perspective. Should be fun. Miles Morales, interestingly, $18 for the non-foil, which is kind of about what you expect. The foil's doing fairly well at around 70. I think some of these borderless showcase cards are going to do well over time, simply because there's just, there's got to be some value in the set by default. It's just the way it works out, and it has to go somewhere. And so I think we'll see it go kind of with some of these other Borderless Mythic variants, the Gwen Stacy one is really cool with Ghost Spider on the back. I think all of these are kind of doing okay, but the regular non-foil versions are just going to continue to trickle down, and then you'll see the foils probably follow suit, but obviously I think the foils will hold a bit of a premium, and if you're into them, kind of monitor the price. Gwenum also really, really good. It's like a Bolus's Citadel. This has been dropping pretty steadily. Definitely a good pickup, though, in my opinion. Under, like, $10 if it goes that low, or hovers around 10. If you can get it between 10 and 12, I do think it's decent. It's obviously a popular character, but the card itself is very good, too. So not surprised to see it being one of the better performing mythics in the set. In terms of things I think might have potential to go up in the future, there's two cards here on this page that I think are definitely applicable there. Multiversal Passage as well as Spider-Punk. So Multiversal Passage is just a generically solid land. It says when it enters, choose a basic land type, then you may pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters tapped. It comes in as that land type. So it's sort of like a newish type land. It's not a dual land, but it does come in typed, and you can pick and choose what you need when you need it. So, you know, if you're playing multicolor, you don't have to commit to it till you actually play it, and you don't have to pay the life unless you need the mana right there. So I do like the card itself. You know, it's around $10, and I think their non-borderless or non-special version of it is right around the same. This is one of the cards I'm looking to get out of the set. I am curious to see how much lower it'll go, but it's probably a card I'll include in a good number of my commander decks. Spider-Punk as well, a ton of hype around this card. It is very, very strong. I do think it'll see some play in Standard as well. $27 for the foil and around 8 and change for the non-foil. I think this is one I'd be keeping an eye on if it's at a price you're comfortable with, because I do think this has potential to go up in the future, specifically for this borderless version because of the card's playability. But again, we'll see, because there's just a lot of stuff in here that's fairly inexpensive and could potentially be good. So actually, Multiversal Passage, the regular one's even lower at 5. I mean, I'd recommend picking that card up. I just think it's good. I think it's a good card to have copies of. Electro was another one that I think was getting some real early hype where it was starting to go up and, you know, pre-sale and people were looking at it. Nice to see it's down to about $3, but it's also a very, very good card. So, you know, in terms of having an application in a few different formats, might be one to keep an eye on there, because some of these are, like I said, really cheap, and usually, like, we'll see these bottom outs kind of happen. People might be interested in these triomes. I don't really care for the art on them, but they are like tri-lands that can, you know, be put out in certain scenarios. Like, this can allow you to bounce stuff to re-trigger. It's got web slinging without actually having web slinging, which is interesting, but it's still a decent tricolor land that, you know, we don't always get a ton of. So in, you know, for Commander and even in Standard, I think it'll have some use. I'm a big fan of Hide on the Ceiling. I think this card's really solid. It allows you to exile any number of artifacts or creatures where, you know, that's equal to X, and then they come back at the next end step. So you can use this to, like, disrupt and get rid of some of the opponent's stuff. You can also use it to blink a lot of your own stuff. Very, very inexpensive card right now. I do think it does have a lot of potential, though, in the future as a utility card, especially for blink decks in Commander. But just in general, I think it's solid. Just kind of, you know, looking around. I also think Spectacular Spider-Man is just a really, really good value pickup. This card is super strong. I know a lot of people, you know, if you're not a fan of Universe Beyond, you're like, I don't want to play Spider-Man in the deck, and, you know, whatever, I get that. But this card is only like $3 for a Heroic Intervention with Flash that you can bring out that also is like an iconic character. Kind of a no-brainer pickup, I think, in my opinion, because I could see this card being like $10 or more in the future. Obviously, the foil is a little bit more, but it depends on your, you know, preferences. You know, it's hard to recommend a lot of stuff in the set simply because I don't know what it actually is all going to look like when it shakes out. I do think Spider Sense is really solid as well. It can counter instant sorceries or triggered abilities, so there is that interesting addition to it. But it has Web Slinging 1, so you can, you know, bounce a creature to use it for a cheaper cost. Just a really solid card. Again, it's a counter spell. It's around 3 and change, and the foil's around 8. I like this card a lot as a potential future, like, you know, pick up the Spider-Man, Spider-Punk. So I would say those would definitely be like my top line recommendations, just in terms of solid value. You could see Black Cat do well over time as well. But I would look in that like $1 to $2 range if you're interested in some stuff for like future growth. I think a lot of it, like Hide on the Ceiling, also looks really good. as a potential card to play in the future. And of course, there will always be a couple cards no one thinks of until someone pops off with it in Standard, and then we have all kinds of other things going with it. So there is a lot of potential market movement in the set. I don't think that it's going to be like the craziest performing set, but I'm sure over time the collector products will end up doing really well, as they usually do. I hope that with future Marble products, they handle them more thought out and more sort of cohesive, I guess. And that's kind of where I stand on it. So just a bit of an overview on the market, a few things I think are solid pickups, and a few things I'd probably avoid. We'll check back in on it if anything noteworthy happens. But if you guys do enjoy the videos, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.